partire inizia direttamente il And we're live.
We're live. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi guys. If you want, you can tell us where you're joining from in the chat in the comments.
We're reading you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wait a little bit, maybe.
Oh, well, we don't see it here. Let me check on the.
Somebody says hi, though we can't see who they are.
Yeah.
But hello back.
Hello back here.
Where
See.
are you writing us from, mystery Facebook user?
No. We can see it on. Oh, it's Ivan. It's Ivan.
Hi, Ivan. How are you?
Hello. Okay.
Very well, I think people are starting to join, so I'm going to start us off. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this Salon de la Musique community call. My name is Nicholas Stark. Your hosts today are Antonia Comito and Anna Bulkina.
Hello, guys.
So this week, we will talk to you about how musicians can better manage their time in order to develop and diversify their skills, especially the ones that can help them succeed in the modern creator economy. We will also read an extract from a book by Robert Kiyosaki. The extract is a modern fairy tale meant to explain the importance of developing a new frame of mind when it comes to using your time and effort productively. So I'm actually going to start us off by talking a bit about how to find the time to develop new skills. And like we said earlier, new skills that maybe can allow musicians to succeed in this modern creator economy. I should stress that the following are my opinions, and they help me achieve my goals, but they don't necessarily apply to everyone. And in fact, if you believe they don't, then maybe you can share your thoughts in the comment section. I should also note that I believe these skills are particularly important for musicians, given how much preparation work a musician must continuously perform. You know, every professional, across different jobs must perform some kind of update work throughout his or her career. But I believe a musician must perform more of this type of work, given how a musician's repertoire is constantly expanding. So it's unlikely that a musician will simply stop learning new pieces and perform the same repertoire for the rest of their lives. And so the ability to learn more, acquire new skills, develop in different directions is particularly important for a musician. So I believe that the most important factor in being able to find the time, this is something we hear very often, I don't have the time to develop this new skill. I don't have the time to, for example, learn how to edit videos and be more present on social media, which is something that is very important in this modern creator economy for we call them the modern classical musicians. Time is something that everyone will be able to find, I believe, as soon as they value what this time investment will give them. So as soon as, and again, this is my theory, as soon as you truly appreciate what an investment of your time is going to give you, performing a specific activity, in this case, maybe let's use the example of developing the ability to edit videos in order to succeed on social media, to become a digital entrepreneur. So you might say, I don't have the time as a musician because I'm constantly performing and I'm practicing to develop the skill. But I believe that if you truly see how developing this new skill is going to allow you to become successful, allow you to achieve your goals, then investing the time that is necessary to develop this skill is not going to be something that you will have to find motivation in order to do. But it's almost, the situation will almost be flipped in that you will almost feel compelled to do it. You will not be able to not do it. You will wake up in the morning and this, it could be, the feeling you might feel could be very positive or negative. You might have a sort of sense of impelling doom. If I do not learn this new skill, I'm going to get left behind. So it might be that kind of motivation. Or it could also be a very positive feeling of, my gosh, I need to do this immediately because now I can see what it's going to allow me to obtain. I can see all the benefits that are going to come as a consequence. So this is my sort of ethos. I believe that if you are struggling with the ability to find the time to dedicate yourself to learning a new skill, what you should do is you should spend some time reflecting on what value this new activity, this new skill is going to give you. And when value, when you are truly able to grasp it, to see it, to understand it, and you believe in it, then you will automatically engage in the new activity. And I think that a good parallel, a good example that we can give is with physical exercise. So physical exercise is something that a lot of people struggle with. And, I'm personally very passionate about fitness, but that doesn't mean that there aren't days when I'm more or less motivated. And so for me, what makes a difference is when I focus on the benefit of what I'm going to do. When I truly believe, because I maybe do the research, because I maybe just reflect on it and try to be objective with myself. But when I truly believe and see the value of what I'm doing for myself, then it becomes something that I cannot put off. It almost feels painful, metaphorically speaking, to put it off. It would be like having something. It would be like seeing $100 on the floor and not picking it up. Why would you not pick it up? The value is clear, right? You want to perform the action. You're compelled to perform it because the value is so crystallized. Mm-hmm. And in fact, this. So in the case of the $100 example, the reward is immediate. This is another issue when it comes to time management and discipline. Very often, the rewards that we get from, let's go back to that previous example of learning how to edit a video. The rewards that you will get as a musician from developing the skill of editing a video are not going to be immediate. First of all, it's going to take time to learn this skill. Not a tremendous amount of time, mind you, especially because if you are a classical musician, I believe that you are already quite skilled in the gray matter department. And so I believe it will not take so much time. But regardless, it will take some amount of time. Let's say, I think 20 hours is a good estimate to build a base in any new skill. So let's say you have to make this 20-hour investment. And then even once you have acquired the skill and you start to put it into practice, it's not going to give you immediate results. The first video that you publish is not going to make you world famous. And neither is the second or the third. But if you are persistent, then we have very good data about how this is going to lead to results for you. It is going to give you a reward. And as we were saying, the issue is this reward is in the future. It's not immediate. And so when a reward is not immediate, humans have a hard time acting and putting into practice the behaviors that are necessary to achieve it. But I, as I was saying before, believe that if you truly believe that these benefits are waiting for you once you complete the work, then you will do the work. Just like when you have to climb a staircase, you know that if you put one foot in front of the other, eventually you will reach the top of the staircase. If there were uncertainty about the ability to reach the top of the staircase, maybe it's some kind of magical infinite staircase, you're not really sure how many floors there are, you would give up really quickly. Instead, when you know, and in fact, there are many studies that confirm how when your reward is very clear, and I mean in this case clear visually, like literally, if you are, for example, and these were studies that were performed that you can look up. If you are carrying weights, the specific type of lift that was completed in the experiment is called a farmer's carry. So you're basically carrying, imagine 2 big heavy bags, just like you're carrying grocery bags. This was the lift. So when you're performing this exercise, if you physically look at the deadline, then the amount of effort that the study participants subjectively reported was inferior to the ones that instead did not look at the deadline. So in this case, the physical deadline, the goal. So literally having a clear goal in front of you that you can see and that you understand you're moving toward makes the effort that you are expending to reach it seem less difficult, less challenging.
Yeah.
I want to pass the matter on to you, Anna and Antonia. Do you guys struggle or succeed with time management and new skill development and discipline and a little bit of everything that I've touched upon?
Well, in my case, it's really like I do struggle with it. I must say, I must confess that since my childhood, I had that one very big priority in my life, which was piano playing, and everything else was, just put apart. So the like whatever it was, in front of me with that I had to deal with the school, other activities. It came right after I like my main priority, which was practicing and just doing just playing piano. So doing that for many years, later on I find myself sometimes helpless when I need to deal with different tasks that that require my attention, that cannot be set apart, and I will come back to it later, or I will think about it tomorrow. It required my immediate attention. So in that case, I started to struggle a lot because I didn't train myself to deal with like multitask time organization. So I never dealt with that. So for me it became a very big struggle, because also things were unclear to me about Michael was talking about the goal setting. For me, the process of practicing, of working on the piece, on finding things in it was already a goal. Like that I find enjoyment into working. But when you would say, okay, what about concert, what about like competition, what about like ultimate goal of actually bringing the piece to the stage, that somehow was not my ultimate goal. So for me, the stage performance was just like a part of the process of working on the piece. That was, a continuous work and continuous process. Like it helped me to develop and to improve the piece, but it was not, the ultimate goal. So I was not practicing to perform. I was practicing and working just to make piece sound better and better and better. And in fact, I really like to work on the repertoire that I already played, because I always find new things. But on the other hand, I struggle immensely. For example, if I need to also do some exercises, or I need to do some like I'm teaching, like to combine with a teaching job and also learn new repertoire, and also do other things at home, that I find it like extremely difficult to organize my time. So that's my confession.
But thank you for sharing your experience, Anna. I believe that also, if you were focusing in your childhood just on one top priority, I think the how can we say, the organization skill, you acquire it. Because think about this: if you have to practice piano, it's not just about practicing piano, it's about also organizing different pieces, different repertoire, and you have to organize your day. You have this. You have to decide. You have to decide your priority list in your repertoire. Then, okay, I will focus on, I don't know, Beethoven, I will focus on Liszt, and then I will practice and you have to constantly monitoring the status of your pieces. Like, okay, my Dante sonata needs more care, needs extra care. Then I will put in the morning, and then I will switch my, I don't know, my Scriabin sonata in the evening, because I have just to nail it. You have constantly, day by day, you have to organize your practice session. I think that also, if you were focusing just on in your childhood, as I think a very professional musician, you were focusing on practicing, you were organizing your day.
Yes, but thank you for mentioning that. Actually, find myself later on struggling even with my practicing, because I would be so going into the details with one piece that I would just practice it whole day, working on, I don't know, one page, and then I would like, oh my god, I need to practice another pieces. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow I will. Okay, but let's run through what that page that I practiced yesterday, and then I find some other things, and I'm like, oh yeah, so let's just fix it really quickly, and then it's takes hours and hours, and yeah, that's I also find very frustrating.
Yeah, I think
I'd like to comment on this specifically.
Yeah.
I think that, Anna, this happens to you in part because I believe that deep inside you know how formidable you are. And so you know that if you put yourself in a difficult situation where, for example, you have not practiced a certain part of the piece like you have practiced the other part, you know that even with little time, if you want to, you will be able to perfect that part as well. So I think this is something fundamental that a lot of people who are as skilled as you, but also might have some problems with time management and procrastination, share. Another element is maybe the fact that when we do what we just described, so you are working hard because you are practicing a certain part of the piece, but you're neglecting maybe another part of the piece that maybe you enjoy less, or I have no idea. And this happens definitely to me as well. I think it's basically a universal experience. And I think that when you reflect on this type of behavior, you realize that it's a behavior that we put into practice to comfort ourselves, because maybe that part of the piece that you were practicing, or I can, if I think about my own life, I can think of many examples. When we do this, we are trying to comfort ourselves, and so a habit that I've developed as a consequence in order to achieve my goals and to manage my time efficiently and to proceed toward those long-term goals. Earlier we were talking about the fact that a lot of goals, a lot of achievements are often delayed, and they take a lot of work that doesn't produce immediate results before they can be obtained. And so something that I've learned to do is to essentially identify precisely what gives me discomfort and do that. So my sort of mantra to myself, my rule that I've created for myself, is that I try to do precisely what it is that I do not want to do. And I find that when I do this, the result is actually very positive.
Yeah.
I think we have a comment from a
Oh, this is Ivan. He commented that great things take time. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. so I can practice my piano and then go to college to do the rest. Wow, you're a real hero.
Yeah, you are so special, Ivan. Really,
Wow.
Are there?
He
can tell us. He can tell us maybe if there is a specific way in which a specific strategy that he applied in order to be able to do this, because I myself am also a fan of waking up early, although I have not cracked 4:30 a.m. just yet. And I would tell you that with regards to waking up early and structuring your day, something that a lot of people don't understand is that it's not supposed to be painful. Waking up early is not something that should be torturous, something that you should dread. It should be something that becomes, I dare say, almost pleasant if you structure the rest of your day properly. And so specifically with regards to waking up early, and by the way, you can find a lot of sources online that will explain how to do this. I think a great source is the Huberman Lab podcast hosted by Professor Andrew Huberman. But essentially, if you put into practice certain habits, such as making sure that in the evening you not expose yourself to a lot of cold light. Cold light is basically light that is bluish, and it is typically the light emitted by screens, computer screens, phone screens, television screens, etc. So if you do this, if you limit your exposure to blue light in the evening, and instead you try to expose yourself to more light, not screen light, but actual sunlight in the morning. Another habit you can apply is to make sure you finish your last meal at least a few hours before going to bed. There's a whole list of little habits and protocols that I could list off here, but you can find those online. The point is that if you do all of this, then waking up at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., like Ivan does, becomes easy. It becomes something that feels good because you've created the proper structure around it. And so I want to pass this question off to Ivan if he has an answer for us. The question specifically is if there are any strategies that he uses in, there it is, cold shower instead of coffee. Fantastic. Ivan.
All these things that I hate: cold shower, waking up early.
But Anna, you are Russian. How can you dislike?
Oh no! I was born in Turkmenistan. Okay.
Yeah.
So 40 degrees Celsius in the shadow, and 50 if you step in on the sun.
Wow.
But I agreed so much when you were talking about the fact that most of the time indulging in some specific activity, it's caused by the fact that actually we are comforting ourselves. We are talking about time management, and I believe that when we are indulging in some specific activity, also because we are musicians and we are constantly dealing with perfectionism, I think that indulging in some specific activity hides in reality troubles not in time management but in stress management.
I agree. I think that, so if you're looking for the indulgence, right, the pleasure, let's say, through procrastination, because you're practicing that specific piece instead of another piece, then maybe it means that you're not managing your stress successfully. And so essentially what you're doing is you're not de-stressing enough outside of your work, right? You're not disconnecting and relaxing enough to the point where, because the human psyche does need to de-stress and disconnect and relax, that you look for this de-stressing activity in your work. And so while you're working, you haven't recharged your batteries enough to be able to tackle the part of the piece that you should be tackling. And so instead you tackle the part of the piece that maybe you are already kind of good at and you don't need to work on as much in order to recharge your batteries then. And so,
also, I think that this specific problem, procrastination has stress management troubles. I think we have to reflect a lot about ourselves. Why? Because most of the time we have stress management when we have to shift to a different activity. For example, when we are practicing, I don't know, our Dante sonata, and we have to shift to our Scriabin sonata, that shift is causing stress. And most of the time, we are trying to postpone this kind of stress. This can be a stress factor. And also for musicians, most of the time, we can see as a stress factor the problem that we are not accomplished tasks. For example, I'm not, this piece is not ready. My Dante sonata is not nailed enough. Then I have to indulge here. I have to stay there until, I don't know, things are done. No, you have to deal with that stress and accept the fact that you have to move on and go through your problem. And it's a learning process. It's something that you are scheduling in your long run.
Yeah, you know, also I'm another confession. I must say, like, long run is not my strength, because like, what if I have a concert, for example, I would postpone and postpone and postpone, that kind of type of practicing, when you need to combine together the whole program and run it through like several times to make sure like you are prepared to do it for the concert. And then when it will be like very short amount of time, I will do like a double and triple and quadruple work, working like a hamster in that circle. And then after I'm done, I'm like, okay, done. So then, and I know because I've tried it, I know that if I would be doing that little by little amount of work, but for a longer period of time, I would reduce enormous amount of stress from myself. But somehow, even knowing that, even telling that to myself, don't do that. Start practicing. Start, combining together the program. Start running through. No. Just I'll do it. I will do it today. I'll do it tomorrow. I will do it day after tomorrow. And it's just like until you are like, you stay in front of the fact that okay, now you got to do it, because otherwise like you have to cancel the concert.
Yeah. And this experience reminds me about the Leonard Bernstein's quote. To achieve something genial, you have to have a plan and have not enough time.
Yeah.
That's perfectly true. And what you just said is, at a certain point, there comes a time when, if you do not practice, you have to cancel the concert.
Yeah.
And when that time comes, then you get down, you and myself and everybody else gets down to business, and there are no more distractions. And so it's a matter of being able to get into that state at will. And how do you get into that state at will? I believe that it is by understanding the value of not finding yourself in such a difficult situation anymore. If in that moment, when there's no more time and you really have to practice, otherwise you have to cancel the concert, in that moment, if you reflect and you think, okay, I really do not want to find myself in this situation again, because it's not fun to have to be to not be able to eat or sleep or have to be so focused for until the concert arrives, then I think if you truly dislike that moment, and if you truly focus on it and decide that you do not want to repeat it, then the next time that you have time to start practicing in advance, you will do so because you will want to avoid that situation. I think that in order to not procrastinate, you have to focus on this, on your desire to avoid that situation and to not feel that way again. You have to value essentially the desire to, you have to value the desire to avoid that discomfort more than the discomfort that is necessary in that moment to start practicing.
Exactly. Like
pick your poison, essentially.
It's like we have to learn how to prioritize also the stress sources, like structuring them, understanding that I have to go through that specific stress factor. For example, like starting right now to practice or to learn a new skill, or to get up earlier and face it, because we know that our top stress factor can be the situation in which you have to, I don't know, run like an hamster 2 days for the concert because you have to get shit done,
But I think you guys are right. There is there is a psychological thing, like a barrier, because, for example, doing the same thing with exercises. For example, I set a goal. I want to, lose the weight until that, measures or that, number on the scales. I arrive like 80% towards to my goal. And then at some point I'm like, yeah, I'm so close now. So I relax. I'm not, anymore very concentrated.
Because you feel like you are far away, far from the stress factor.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you allow yourself to relax.
Yeah, so I start eating, without watching what I eat. I change the time of my meals constantly. Like I eat some snacks that I should not eat and stuff like that. So at the end, I find myself, okay, I'm at the starting point again. So I have to start from the beginning. And it's, I don't know.
Don't 1 second. Let's, wrap up. Anna, you are an incredible professional. You can deal with discipline and with stress incredibly.
I just need a deadline like in front of me, like knocking my door. It's like, tomorrow, Rachmaninoff third. Oh!
Oh my gosh, really? Don't say it. I remember my experience in the studentato in Imola,
Yeah.
Days before. Yeah.
I think that to wrap up this topic, maybe we could. There's a quote I believe, which is that you do not, in this life, you do not get to not struggle.
Yeah.
You can choose if your struggle is going to be the stress that comes as a consequence of the procrastination, or you can choose if the struggle is going to be the strength that is necessary to do the work in advance. Either way, the struggle is guaranteed. And there's also another quote, which is easy decisions, hard life, hard decisions, easy life. And these are the kinds of things that I try to think about in those moments where I'm not feeling particularly motivated. And so I tell myself, well, if you like doing this thing right now is going to be tough, but not doing it is also going to be tough. So you can decide which one you prefer, which one is going to give you the greatest reward.
One quote that is always giving me strength is don't give up on your dreams, because if you will do it, they will hunt you. Yeah.
As they say, the graveyard is the richest place in the world, populated by all the dreams of the people who did not realize them. Very well. Then I think we can move on to another topic, which is the extract that I mentioned at the beginning of the call.
That I think is related to our first topic.
It is precisely. In fact, we're going to read an extract from a book by Robert Kiyosaki. This is an extract that is essentially a modern fairy tale meant to explain the importance of developing a new frame of mind when it comes to using your time and effort productively. But before that,
it's very important for musicians.
Yes, immensely. But before that, a word from our sponsors.
And we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Anna, so could you please read this extract for us? I believe, as we
Yes,
said, it pertains
yes.
to what we've talked about, and I think the audience can get a lot of benefit from it.
Yeah. So last time we were talking about the Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we didn't give up on that. We will continue, coming back to some, extracts from that book. But today, this story is from his another book called the Cash Flow Quadrant. And I really like this story because it shows like how two people organized and applied their time and effort in completely two different ways, and how one benefit from that and another failed. So that story was told to Robert Kiyosaki when he was 12 years old by his rich dad. And for those who don't know the story, so he claimed that he had his biological father, who he called a poor dad, and then the father of his friend Mike, who actually taught him all these business skills and stuff, and and financial education and stuff like that. So he called him Rich Dad. So the story goes like that. Once upon a time, there was this little village. It was a great place to live, except for one problem. This village had no water unless it rained. To solve the problem, once and for all, the village elders asked contractors to submit bids to deliver water to the village on a daily basis. 2 people volunteered to take on the task, and the elders awarded the contract to both of them. They felt that a little competition would keep prices low and ensure a backup supply of water. The first person who won the contract, Ed, immediately ran out, bought 2 steel buckets, and began running back and forth to the lake, which was a mile away. He immediately began making money as he labored morning to dusk, hauling water from the lake with his 2 buckets. He would empty them into the large tank the village had built. Each morning, he had to get up before the rest of the village awoke to make sure there was enough water for the people. It was hard work, but he was very happy to be making money and for having one of the 2 exclusive contracts for this business. The second winning contractor, Bill, disappeared for a while. He wasn't seen for months, which made Ed very happy since he had no competitors. Instead of buying 2 buckets to compete with Ed, Bill wrote a business plan, created a corporation, found 4 investors, employed a president to the work, and returned 6 months later with a construction crew. Within a year, his team had built a large volume stainless steel pipeline which connected the village to the lake. At the grand opening celebration, Bill announced that his water was cleaner than Ed's water. Bill knew that the villagers had complained about the water's lack of cleanliness. Bill also announced that he could supply the village with the water 24/7. Ed could only deliver water on weekdays because he didn't want to work on weekends. Then Bill announced that he would charge 75% less than Ed. And so villagers cheered and immediately ran for the faucet and at the end of the Bill's pipeline. In order to compete, Ed immediately lowered his rates by 75%. Bought 2 more buckets, added covers to his buckets so the water will be delivered like cleaner. and hired his 2 sons to give him a hand on the night shift and on weekends. So he could now started to work on weekends as well. When his boys went off to college, he said to them, hurry back, because someday this business will belong to you. For some reason, his 2 sons never returned. Eventually, Ed had employees and union problems. The union demanded higher wages and better benefits and wanted its members to only hold 1 bucket at a time. Meanwhile, Bill realized that if this village needed water, then maybe other villages must need water too. He rewrote his business plan and went off to sell his high-speed, high-volume, low-cost clean water delivery system to villages throughout the world. He only makes a penny per bucket of water delivered, but he delivers billions of buckets of water every day. Whether he works or not, billions of people consume billions of buckets of water, and all that money pours into his bank account. Bill developed a pipeline to deliver money to himself, as well as water to the villages. Bill lived happily ever after. Ed worked hard for the rest of his life and had financial problems forever after. The end.
Yeah.
So
really, really amazing.
So which person do you think that the average musician is in the story?
Yeah, well, including myself, years ago, it is Ed, and I think there like 99.9% of musicians are Ed.
But I think it's quite normal to be at the beginning. The problem is that we have to pass through our journey, our catharsis, and evolve and and reach your vision and understand that the system didn't teach us how to use our knowledge, our talent, and realizing that we must create a business model around our talent, and we are lucky to do this.
And in order to create these business models, one must, as we were saying earlier, invest some time into developing those new skills that will then allow you to achieve these goals. Skills that in the beginning will not give you a result, just like in the story. You will have to, quote unquote, disappear for a couple months. You'll have to put in those hours like Ivan does in the darkness in the early morning.
I was thinking about this specific topic when you mentioned now, like you have to disappear for a few months, for a specific amount of time. You have to be in the darkness. It reminds me always about guys. Have you read the Art of War by Sun Tzu?
Of course.
I always amaze me when
we only read Machiavelli.
But there is a specific concept that I really adore, is that when you are still, give the impression that you are moving. When you are moving, give the impression that you are not moving, that you are still. Then disappear to reshape you, disappear to rebuild you, to rise as a phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's something that really always touches me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was always wondering, do you think that the ability to plan your day or to organize like your time or organize like the tasks during the day or per like monthly, weekly, yearly, annually, do you think this ability like you born with, or there's something you can develop if you really like put an effort, even though like you feel really uncomfortable with doing that because like it's not something you're good at, but then do you think it's
I strongly believe that you can learn basically everything And it's not a matter of talent, it's not a matter of attitude, it's not a matter of approach. You can really learn everything. It's just about of understanding how the learning process works.
I would say you can learn anything if you have the right attitude. As they say, he who believes
Where there
he
is a will,
can,
there is a way.
precisely. I was
Yeah.
going to say, he who believes he can and he who believes he cannot, both of them are right.
Yeah, there is a fantastic fairy tale. I don't remember. I remember, not clearly, but it was about two wolves. One was called fear, and one was called courage. Which
yeah,
one
yeah.
will win? The one you will feed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where there is a will, there is a way. Then I believe that we can learn everything, and it really. I think it is very important to understand the learning process and the fact that we have to expose ourselves to that specific experience that we want to learn, and also if the first period it can be tough, or it can be challenging. You have to keep continuing, keep doing, and understand that it will get better and better. Then I think we have to.
Yeah, how would you set up goals? For example, how would you set up the priority for yourself? For example, everything is important. So for example, let's say, like, I want to learn a new program, then I want to run a business, and I want to make exercise every morning, and I want to, I don't know, make a trip, I want this, I want that. So there are like long lasting goals, there are like immediate goals, there are like, how would you manage that?
This is a very, I think, important question. I read a few days ago an article about this specific topic. It was about the fact that most of the people fail on time management, not because they cannot manage their time, and not because they cannot realize what are their priorities, but because they cannot understand what are not priorities,
Mm-hmm.
to eliminate from their schedule.
So adding things to your to-do list is just as important as removing things from your to-do list.
Exactly.
If you spend your time doing something that is not fruitful, then not only have you not accomplished anything, but you've also robbed yourself of the time that you could have invested into an activity that instead was fruitful.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
When it comes to creating, to prioritizing actions, I think that a very popular matrix that is used is one where you label activities as either urgent or important, and therefore you have combinations of activities that are both urgent and important, and so therefore you should complete them immediately. And then you have activities that are neither important nor urgent, and therefore you should put them at the end. And then the middle is a combination of those that are important but not urgent, or urgent but not important. And so that's one approach. And I think another approach.
So what comes first, important or urgent?
What comes first is important and urgent. Those are
Okay.
those are number one. And then what comes last is not important and not urgent. And then in the middle, and I think there's some debate about what should come first, are those that are maybe important but not urgent, or not urgent but important. Somewhere there. But I think an even more useful framework that you can use is to ask yourself which activities will compound, which activities will build exponentially. Right? So if you look at your to-do list, maybe you will find some activity that, if completed, will make other activities easier.
Yeah.
It will unlock something else. And therefore, maybe I believe you should prioritize those, because if something makes everything that comes after easier, then
Should be
it's
prioritized.
a great lever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Just to give a very simple
For
example.
example, I in the morning, it's the best time to do exercises, like physical exercises. But in the morning, I feel less will to do them. But even though I know if I do them in the morning, I will be done for the rest of the day, so I don't have to think about it. And I have more energy to do them in the evening. But in the evening, I have less time.
So the conversation about exercise and where to place it in your day is a complex one, because it also has to do with physiology and your specific schedule, etc. I would say that if you are, regardless of where you place your exercise in the day, if you are dreading it, then reduce the intensity, reduce the duration, schedule a workout such that the thought of it is not a dreadful thought.
Yeah.
And then
500 burpees.
right. So if your workout is 500 burpees, then don't do 500, do 100, or do 50, do 10. It doesn't really matter how much you do, as long as you place it in your schedule and it doesn't evoke a negative reaction. And then keep doing it until you build that habit, and then just gradually increase it. The goal here is not to go from 0 to 100 in the span of a day. The goal is to improve 1% every single day. And
Exactly.
again, all these topics that we've discussed, time management and discipline, these are not things that should be painful. The goal here is to create rules for yourself, like the one that I have just outlined, which is basically, if you dread your workout, then make the workout easier until you do not dread it, and then slowly build on top of that. So
sorry for interrupting you. I think this is amazing, because in the end, it's always a matter of stress management.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to create a situation in which that specific situation is not stressful for you, and then build on top of it, adding layers.
And when we say this, we do not mean that if someone feels stress, we all feel stress, then this is negative, you're weak or something like that. The goal is to understand that as a human, you will feel stressed and tired and everything we can imagine, and find strategies to help you deal with this.
Yeah.
So that you can achieve your goals.
Yeah.
The game that we're playing is not even, and when I say the game, I mean metaphorically speaking. What needs to be managed, in a sense, is not even the situation itself. What needs to be managed is yourself, is your mind. If you're able to manage your mind and how you react in a specific situation, then everything will take care of itself.
Yeah. Which is that quote from Pirates of Caribbean, in which Jack Sparrow is saying the problem is not the problem, is your perception.
Your reaction to the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you might be right. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, that sounds like him. Precisely.
Yeah.
Nuggets of wisdom hidden in Pirates of the Caribbean, or wherever the quote
hidden
is from.
wisdom. The winter is coming. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that is some, it's a complex topic, and sometimes you would think like, okay, yes, I'm stressed out, but I don't even know what I'm stressed out about. It's like, I'm just in general stressed out, and then you have to go down to the core of the problem and find out why you're stressed out, what is particularly stressing about exercising, or making a plan, or setting up the goal. What is your inner fear? Maybe you're fearing that once you achieve that goal, you will have nothing to do, or once you achieve something, you will deal with the consequences of that. For example, some people have a fear to achieve success. They would say, I want success, but inside their mind, or inside their soul and heart, they would fear that, because they would like, okay, I will not be able to handle it.
Yeah.
So fearing that they kind of, 1%, one step before achieving the success, they would just, track
I
their.
think it sounds incredible. It sounds very exciting to go deep through these, let's call it like shadow work. It's something that everybody has to do. Everybody, all of us, we have to meet our demons, and we have to meet our fears. And it's like the dreams. Don't give up on your fears, or face your fears, because if you're not
don't give up on your dreams and face your fears.
Yeah. I think it is exciting. It's like is one chance to meet yourself, to understand yourself deeply. Yeah.
This type of introspective work is something that I feel a lot of people are never taught to do, and it's very important, especially if, like in the case of our audience, you are a musician, you are somebody who needs to perform, somebody who needs to perform at a very high level in front of a large audience without making any mistakes. So it's important, in order to achieve the skills that are necessary to perform in this way, understand yourself so that you might fix the little things that need fixing.
Yeah, that's true.
Such an interesting topic, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, today this community call really was amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
Very well. Then we look forward to seeing everyone in the next community call. Keep an eye out for it. And for now, I want to thank everyone and say
thank you, guys. Thank you for staying with us.
And if you have any questions,
or you want to share your experience or your tips, we would greatly appreciate it. Share it in the comments.
We read all of them. So
we do.
Good or bad?
Yeah. for better, for worse.
Yeah.
Very well. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
See you next time.
Yeah. Are you a classical musician? What if your performances could be seen by thousands of people without you ever having to leave your home? Your time has come. Message Les Salons de la Musique. Our mission is to connect classical musicians to their audiences all around the world so that this wonderful art may flourish. A global audience is waiting for you. Write us now.